Good morning, good evening, good day, good night, wherever you are in the world. I am Tim, back once again for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Australian Grand Prix. And with me is my co-commentator for today, Tom. How are you doing today?
Very good, mate. Very good. Feels good to be back in the GP2 comms booth. But yeah, excited for tonight. How are you?
I'm doing fine, and it has been a while since you and I have been able to commentate alongside each other. It was sometime last year in GP2 that you were able to join me, just waiting for the drivers to ready up here, and then we will arrive at the paddock at the Melbourne Grand Prix circuit, otherwise known as Albert Park. It is a 5.2 kilometer circuit. The most successful driver around here in real life F1, Michael Schumacher, with 4 wins. And get this, Tom, here is a stat that some of these drivers, or at least one of these drivers today, might be trying to replicate. The lowest starting spot for a Grand Prix winner was 11th, and that happened in 2003 by David Coulthard.
That when he was with McLaren?
Do it.
Was that when he was with McLaren?
Now, that one you got me. I'm not sure on that one.
Wouldn't shock me if that was the case.
That was about 15-ish years before I started getting any kind of interest into F1. I was 7 at the time.
Yeah. I think it was actually like, what, 24 years ago? No, 19 years ago, actually.
Yeah, 19 years ago. And, it really is hard to believe that 2003 was 19 years ago, because I still remember my 7th birthday from 2003, and now I'm 26 and I'll be 27 next year. My goodness, this is crazy. This has been sort of a wake-up call. Maybe I shouldn't have talked about 2003 today. Anyway, let's talk about our point standings. Of course, a recap of last week from the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. King David was your winner there, with Rage Hunter in second. Now, Calvin finished in third on track, but there was a penalty that was given to him after the contact with him and Jespera, so that allowed Jespera to be credited with that third place finish. So it's King David, Rage Hunter, Jespera, your top 3 from Saudi Arabia. Your driver's standings is MDJ with 25 points, leading the standings, but tied with King David, so 25 points to him as well. Jespera in third with 23 points, Die in fourth with 22 points, and then Rage Hunter down there in P5 with 18 points. This is round 3 of the season, so it's really early to be talking about a points battle, but already it is very close. In your constructor standings, not all that much further away. Alpine is leading Ferrari in P2, so Alpine 48 points to Ferrari's 30. Haas has 26 points, AlphaTauri 25, and then Williams in P5 with 17.
Crazy. Now, Die is out on track. This is the first one out on track, as we're on board of him now. I just saw him do quite a lot of weaving, just to get that warmth into those soft tyres.
Yeah, so Die, he has proven to be a relatively fast driver this season, or at least early on. And like we said, P4 in the point standings, so that's 22 points for him at the moment. Of course, he's going to be looking to capture a win here today in Australia, but looking like we got 15 drivers registered for this race today. And look at Janeji up there, so he's on his outlap as well.
Wow.
Good to see Janeji back with us.
Yeah, it is. He's a very good driver on his day. Very good. He can be fast. I think if he can keep it on the track and penalty free, there's no reason for him to not get a result today. As we approach that new corner after the second to last DRS straight, I believe. A little bit of it's a confusing layout. I won't lie, but Die seems to have that covered, and off we go.
Yeah, and Tom, that's actually a good point that you brought up, is that where it is going to be a slightly different layout than what these drivers were accustomed to in years past. It's going to really take a lot of, of a mental game to overcome that. Now, granted, I'm sure that a lot of these drivers do have some amount of practice on this circuit by now, so they're not going into this completely blind, I would assume. All the same, it's really hard to break old habits, especially when you consider the amount of laps that these drivers have had over the seasons on this course. And you see Dye actually invalidating his lap there, so going a little bit too wide and disobeying the track limits. So we'll go ahead and take a look at our points leader of MDJ in the AlphaTauri as he is on his flying lap, and so far so good as he sets a purple first sector.
Good stuff from MDJ. There's a shame about Dye there. I think there could have been a lap. He could have. I think he definitely could have pulled off a decent starter lap, but at the same time, the fine margins in terms of track limits are huge.
Yeah, and that's one thing that is sometimes very controversial for drivers, not just in the real life F1, but in the esports side of things as well, simply because, you think, well, I didn't go over the track limits, and sometimes you didn't, and sometimes you actually did, but, because of the algorithm that F1 22 has in F1 2021 and all of the previous
Milton goes for original
game,
pole.
Sometimes there's an error, but yes, Milton a 119.2, and then MDJ a 119.2.
I figured a few hundreds off than that. Like 100th off?
Yeah, just 100th of a second off the time. So taking a look at Janeji now here in the Aston Martin. We'll see what kind of lap time he sets down as Rage Hunter goes quickest. Janeji P2 a 118.824. Rage Hunter a 118.226.
Very good lap from Rage. Now this is where the division starts to kick in as we go on board with Calvin approaching the last corner. Nice exit. Using that DRS just to get him that extra speed.
So Calvin P5 a 119.761. So that is definitely a banker lap there. So you're seeing already early on the lap times that we're going to start seeing. 118s, we're going to expect that to get a little bit quicker. I'd say possibly getting into the, high 117s here, because the track will rubber up a little bit as time goes on. So the drivers will find a little bit more grip out there. But they're going to have to, really push it to the edge to see who's going to get that pole position here today. Taking a look at Matty in the Ferrari as he's starting his flying lap. So we're right on board with Matty here and give you a nice driver's perspective of the circuit. So you see him using a lot of curve there. And now here is where we're coming up to the new section that you were talking about, Tom.
Yeah, it's honestly this one, the corner for turns 11 and 12. It's nice and flat out. Nothing. I think there's no reason to not nail it, but this corner we're about to come up to in the last DRS straight. I think it's turn 13. Yep, turn 13. Probably the most confusing part of the track. He gets it through, but it's so difficult to get right. Like, it doesn't look that hard, but at the same time, because it's such a wide corner.
And down the straightaway as Matty crosses the line, he will go to P6 of 119.505. So now let's take a look at Train Game Wow down here in the McLaren. Oh no, he is invalidated his lap. So
no.
P3 from last week, just Para going purple sector in Sector 2 here.
Not the best of starts from Train Game. From our champion as well.
He's got plenty of time, though, to get back out there and set a fast lap. Just over 11 minutes remaining in the qualifying session. Just Para really getting close there to the track limits out of that corner, but so far so good. And he should be okay on track limits here. So down the front straightaway, let's see what Just Para's going to get.
He's going to get... Wow.
P2, a 118.
Closest to Rage.
As
well. It's mental.
And Rage Hunter already going back out for his out lap. Take a look now at PSI Legends. Just as soon as we're able to get to him.
Yep, we're here. I'm on board with him now. takes the end of Sector 1, or the beginning of Sector 2, absolutely flat out. A lot of curb used. Up to this corner now. Just going for a nice Sunday drive of all turns 11 and 12, which is the corner you absolutely have to nail. Is it very wide? Oh, he takes a lot of curb. That's normally a risk. But he gets through fine. Heading into turn 13.
So just pair in the final sector. Let's see what kind of lap time, or excuse me, PSI legends in the final sector.
There he is.
Getting my names mixed up here. So down the front straightaway.
Right. Now, what time is he going to set? It's looking promising for legends.
P3. All right, 118.498. Now, Tom, here is a little bit of important information that we need to give out for our qualifying sessions. Of course, as you know, it's 4 softs for qualifying. That's all that the drivers get. So that's 4 fresh, soft, compound tires. And then for the race, they get...
Dye's out!
Oh, and so Dye is not going to be able to set a lap time. And look at Trent just qualified from the session for blocking the pit lane. And,
no.
You would expect that to be fixed in F1 2022, and I'm disappointed to see that it's not. So, Train Game Wow out due to a technicality, Die out apparently due to an incident on track. So, already of our 15 drivers, only 13 remaining in our qualifying session.
Yeah. Starts with the Die and Train Game. Now, here comes Mansell for the last corner, though. P6.
Good showing from Mansell after a very disappointing day in Saudi Arabia, but a 118.8 so far. Going down to P7, Rhinoceros in P6, just ahead of him now, and Rhinoceros in the pits, a 118.795. So MDJ went to 4th, a 118.419. He is our points leader, and his teammate just ahead of him of Norloser, a 118.360. So the Alpha Tauris in 3 and 4 at the moment, just under 8.5 minutes remaining. And what I was saying about the qualifying, of course, you get 4 soft tires for qualifying, and then you get 1 hard, 1 medium, and 1 soft for the race.
Yeah, it's so, I wouldn't say complicated, but it's very, very complex compared to what you had on the previous game, because obviously you are adjusting to the fact that you are allowed to start to pick tires to start the race on, but the complication is you only get a limited amount, and that could be costly if, and I mean if, you end up on the wrong strategy.
So watching
or get damaged, or you end up getting damage. Simple as that. Like, say if you were to go long, and you ended up having to pit because you damaged your wing, you'd have to do something. Well, you'd have to come in. Simple as that.
Yeah, exactly. And we saw last week in Saudi Arabia just how quickly things can go wrong. Literally on the first lap, things were happening. You know, a lot of contact on the first lap going into turns 1 and 2, a lot of front wing damage, and that, you know, that really killed a lot of driver strategies as you were talking about, Tom. And it really made things interesting whenever we had virtual safety cars. And, you know, Saudi Arabia overall was a really good showing for the GP2 division here at Speed Force Racing, hoping that Australia is going to give us much of the same. We'll find out, of course, here in just under 7 minutes as qualifying is slowly coming to an end. A few more drivers going on to their flying lap from their out lap. Matty, a 119.5 after his banker lap, but has invalidated, so he's not going to be able to set a fast time this time around. KXI in the second sector, just about to enter the third and final sector. So let's see what KXI is going to be able to do here in the Red Bull. A 121.2 is his best lap time so far. So we're going to be looking for him to gain a massive amount here. You're seeing guys like Rage Hunter up there in the 118s.
Yeah, you do. Now, Matty going up, I mean KXI going up to that extra gear, full DRS with an advantage. Oh, P11.
118.856. He does get into the 118 brackets, but But look at that, though. Rage Hunter is a 118.2. That's the pole time at the moment. And then KXI in P11 just went a 118.8. That's how close these times are.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Matty, a 119.5, but if Matty hadn't invalidated, I'd say that he'd be close, too. And now the Slayer getting a lap time in, a 119.0. So all the way back to P12 are within a second of each other.
Yeah, you're right. It's such a close field. Like if you were to be, it's like being, even if you were like 2 tenths off, it tends to look like a bad lap. It tends to look like a bad lap time because of how competitive this field is. But there's still, considering we still have 5 minutes to go, there's still plenty of time for the session to change.
And to some people that maybe don't understand the racing world, whether that be the virtual side in esports or even the real live side, when you hear and PSI goes quick, it's the 117.
That was a fantastic lap. I was on board of that.
It really was a good lap. Let's see what Rage Hunter is going to be able to do. But to those who don't understand the racing world, they hear the terms like he's a 1/10 of a second quicker. You hear the words a 1/10 of a second, and you think, well, that doesn't really sound like a lot of time, but in fact it is when you are talking about hundreds and thousands of a second in lap times as Rage Hunter dives down into the pits.
Very good stuff from Rage now.
So MDJ, he's actually half a second up now. So let's see what MDJ is going to be able to do. Half a second up, that might be enough for the pole time. Just over 4 minutes remaining in the qualifying session. Oh no, now he's slower. MDJ has lost a lot of time.
Not on good sector 1, but I think he can still rectify it if he can get a good sector 2. So, all he needs is to nail. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine, Tom. But I did see that he was a half a second up there for a second, and look, now he is 600ths of a second up. So MDJ is finding a little bit of speed here, so we'll keep riding with him and see just what he's able to do. So apparently that shows that Sector 1 is MDJ's weakest. Sector 2 looking very strong. Let's see what Sector 3 is going to do as he goes a bit wide, but still keeps it within the track limits, and that's really hard to judge, but he's not happy with it, so he dives down.
Yeah, he goes into the pits. Mansell, though.
Mansell out of the final corner. He is a 10th up. So let's see where that's going to put him. Hopefully he got a good run out of the corner as he crosses the line. Mansell goes to P8, a small improvement, 118.544. And Milton, he is in the second sector in the Red Bull. His best lap time, a 118.8. We'll see what he's able to do.
Yep, here he comes into turns 11 and 12.
Oh, and he is a 10th slower, unfortunately, so he's going to have to find a lot through the third sector, and not sure if he's going to be able to do that, but he's really running out of time.
Sector 3. Yeah.
So out of the final corner, Milton down the straightaway. We'll see what he's going to be able to do.
Wow.
Not looking like it's going to be the best of lap times for him. Yeah, it's going to be pretty slow.
Yeah,
he is a 10th slower, unfortunately, for Milton. So he could go for another lap, and maybe he can get a little bit faster, but not sure that it would be all that much beneficial for him. So looking like Milton's going to be a back-of-the-pack starter for today. Janeji in the Aston Martin. We'll see what he's going to be able to do. His best lap time, a 118.4, good enough for P7. So far, the only driver to break into the 117 second bracket is PSI Legends up there in the Mercedes.
Oh, he is?
He is. Rage Hunter in P2 with a 118.2 still.
This is a very... We've got under a minute left. Oh no, Matty spun! Could have improved massively in Sector 3.
So Matty out, well, not out technically, but not going to be able to set a fast lap. So Matty really struggling around the Melbourne circuit. Janeji just passing the spin car of Matty, that Ferrari, just a few corners ago.
Oh, Janeji's validated! And those fine margins coming into play again.
That corner is going to be one to watch out for today. So let's take a look now at the Slayer. He is on a lap. And he's actually invalidated. So we'll go back and take a look at Calvin. Haven't really give Calvin a lot of love today. And, unfortunately for him, he lost his podium finish in Saudi Arabia. Him and Jaspera had contact a few laps before the finish out of the final corner. And apparently the stewards judged that Calvin was at fault, gave him a time penalty. And so he therefore lost that podium finish. It was given to Jaspera, but still a decent points day for the Haas team and for Rage Hunter and Calvin as well. And there you saw that Calvin was 0.03 of a second up on his best lap time out of the first sector. Let's see how he's going to look out of the second sector. This will be Calvin's final lap. The pole time, a 1:17.9. He's going to have to beat that.
Calvin
spins!
Oh!
My goodness. Even
that was a
with
big impact.
The new layout, that corner catches drivers out.
Yeah, and it's painful as well. Oh, and DJ 8/10's up. Oh, no, he wasn't. He's under a 10th down.
So apparently we're having a little bit of a timing and scoring error on our screen, so bear with us there. That is unfortunately beyond our control, but qualifying is officially over. So these will be the drivers' final laps.
Oh, Perez out. Massive crash in turns 11 and 12 again.
My goodness, and MDJ going by that car. MDJ looking good through that corner at least. He's on a lap. Rage Hunter's on a lap. We'll go take a look at him here in just a moment. He is going to be fighting for that pole position, but let's see where MDJ is going to end up. Out of the final corner now, bypassing that pit entrance, so he's happy with his lap. He's going to commit to it. Down the front straightaway, this is for all the marbles as he crosses the line. Does he improve? Yes, he does. P3 for MDJ, 118.270. Rage Hunter has invalidated, so looks like PSI Legends might be able to get this pole, but there's still a few drivers out there. Norloser does not improve, and I don't believe the Slayer will be able to improve.
I think that's PSI qualifying
Legends,
over.
Your pole sitter. So PSI Legends, your pole sitter, a 117.951. Rage Hunter, a 118.226. MDJ, 118.270. That is your top three. Just waiting to run out that clock. Not really sure what the holdup is.
Rage.
So what does he have to do? Explain to those who are watching that don't really understand why sometimes we have to wait out this clock.
Basically, when the clock ends, well, when the session's over and everyone's crossed the line, you do sometimes get that one person that pits, which obviously delays the session a little bit longer, but...
Well, your official starting lineup for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Australian Grand Prix, PSI Legends on the pole, the only driver into the 117s, Rage Hunter in second, MDJ in third, Jaspera in fourth, Norloser in fifth, Calvin in sixth, Janeji in seventh, Mansell in 10th, KXI in 11th, 12th is the Slayer, Maddie in 13th, 14th is Die, Train Game Wow in the 15th position, Die in Train Game Wow having to go from the back to the front, Train Game Wow disqualified due to a technicality, Die unfortunately crashing out of the session. So as these drivers get prepared for their race around Albert Park, we can talk a little bit about real life F1 news, Tom, and it's a very exciting week for technically the F1 world, but more so the NASCAR world, as Formula One world champion Kimi Raikkonen is going to be making his NASCAR Cup Series debut this Sunday. Should be 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, so that's for me. And he's going to be driving the number 91 Chevrolet for Trackhouse Racing. Now, a little background on Trackhouse Racing. It is co-owned by a man named Justin Marks and also the rapper Pitbull. Yes, you heard me correctly, Pitbull.
Yep.
And the brand new team just debuted last year with Daniel Suarez as their driver. This year, they expanded to 2 cars after purchasing Chip Ganassi's NASCAR team. And they have won 3 races this season. They have won Sonoma and they have won COTA, 2 road courses on the schedule, and they also won Talladega. So Kimi Raikkonen not only getting his first NASCAR Cup start, he is getting it in what is proven to be competitive equipment.
it's exciting news because obviously we all know the reputation that Kimi has. He's one of the best, I think one of the best drivers of his generation, in my opinion. But honestly, open wheel to stock cars is such a different ball game now. Like, the cars, I mean, even though turning left looks easy, but let me tell you, these cars are much harder to drive than Formula One cars. Put it that way.
Yeah, and of course, you know, Kimi Raikkonen, he did have a brief stint in NASCAR quite a few years ago, back in 2011, running a truck race and an Xfinity race, both at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So this is going to be his first Cup start. About a week or so ago, he did get some laps in a stock car at Virginia International Raceway. So that was a test that was approved by NASCAR, and he just got some laps to familiarize himself with these kinds of cars. It was not in the same car that he will be driving, but the same type of car, obviously. And so very exciting to see what he'll do Sunday. Now, another driver who is also in this field on Sunday is former F1 driver Daniel Kiviat. So that's also very exciting. Now, unfortunately, his team is brand new, not yet to the successful caliber of Trackhouse. All the same, we wish Daniel Kiviat some good luck there. But, Tom, we have got to get back to our own race that we're commentating on, and we need some top 3 predictions. And, you know, I think it's going to be pretty straightforward here. I'm going with PSI Legends and Rage Hunter in any particular order, but then I think Calvin is going to sneak into that podium. He's going to be looking for redemption last week, and you know how strong these Haas cars work together. They are going for the Constructors' Championship. You know, I asked them, you know, straightforward, what are their goals? It's to win the Constructors' Championship, and they're doing a good job at doing that. Currently, they are in P3, so not leading, but hey, it's not the end of the season yet.
Actually, not too shabby. It's not too shabby, to be fair. But I'm thinking top 2, as you mentioned, no particular order, and I'm going to go for a wild card and predict Chain Game Wow. Like, he may be down in 15th place, but he is our champion. And you can't count him out yet.
And here we go. You hear those engines revving. You hear those itchy pedal feet. The drivers watching the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights in the air. Then no red lights. We are green for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Australian Grand Prix. PSI Legends to a fantastic start. And yes, Rage dropping way far back, all the way down to P12, P11, really fighting. And now MDJ taking the lead from PSI Legends just out of nowhere. It's a side-by-side battle for the lead. And who's going to get it? It's going to be MDJ in the AlphaTauri, but PSI Legends does a crossover move, gets the job done. Now just Para and MDJ side by side. Norloser in P4 back there in the AlphaTauri. What's he gonna do on Just Para? Trying to size him up for a pass, getting any bit of slipstream that he can. Just Para, a much better run off of that corner. He's going to go ahead and attack MDJ. So Norloser and MDJ teammates with Just Para in the middle, but look at Janeji. Janeji right on the back of Norloser. He's going to try to fight for position. Will he be able to take advantage of Norloser, who seems to be really slow off of these corners in the early going, but Janeji could not advance his position at all. PSI Legends, MDJ, Just Para, your top 3 at the moment.
I believe the reason why Norloser might be off the pace in corners is that he might have gone for that high speed setup. But it is early days, and they're obviously all on mediums. But great start for PSI. Horror start for Rage.
He spins out of the final corner. No contact, no damage, but MDJ is spun while chasing PSI Legends for the lead, and that is just a shame. So MDJ trying to recover that car. Just Para moves into the second place. Norloser, MDJ's teammate in P3 now, the only AlphaTauri driver in the top 10. So MDJ going to have to play recovery for the rest of the race, and I'll tell you, there's no one else who would want a safety car more than that man.
No, and I think it also shows how random these cars are, how quick. It just shows how quick these cars are to randomly spin out in places that you probably wouldn't expect, especially in slow corners. Like, even if it feels as though you're doing absolutely nothing wrong, it's so out of nowhere. You could literally be approaching a corner, minding your own business, and then out of nowhere, whoosh, you're spinning out.
So Tom
that happened to die at the back.
And Tom Para, I'm not sure if you've been looking at his lap times, but he did run a purple first sector, and he is right on the back of PSI Legends. He's going to be getting some slipstream down this front straightaway. We might see an attempted overtake into turn number 1, but what's very crucial is the DRS is going to be active this lap. So now is really when we're going to start seeing drivers jostling around for position.
Last lap for Para. I think he might be biding his time until the next DRS straight, but his pace is getting a little bit better by the lap, but it will be close. Oh, Para does go a little bit wide in that corner, though.
Yeah, and it looks like PSI Legends, he's really stepping up the game a little bit now. So now that he knows that DRS is active and he's not been able to clear Para, out of that DRS range, he's maybe just trying to, work his way up to that point. But you see Para really gaining on him here. So who knows what's going to happen. Para getting the slipstream, and that really shows you just how beneficial the slipstream is. And look at the different lines between these two drivers, and like you were pointing out, Tom, that really could be all the difference. Sometimes Para goes a little bit wider than PSI. And,
Rage Hunter 3 seconds.
Already the first time penalty for Rage Hunter, so this is a really bad race for Rage already. A bad start that saw him drop down to P12, now a time penalty as he's just running in P10. But we still got this fight for the lead, and Para should be getting some DRS down this front straightaway. Let's see what he's going to be able to do.
But he is closing. Is that going to be enough for a move? No. He does have a run, although PSI makes that car as wide as the track. Para could be taking him around the outside it. No, he's not.
He had a look. PSI gave him some room, but ultimately Para could not get the move done. But he is glued to the back of that Mercedes. He does not want to let him out of his sights. This is allowing Norloser and Genenji to close. We have pretty much a 5-car battle, though, for this position, because look at Ronsour's back there on the soft compound tires. He's able to stick with these medium runners.
Yeah, he is. But the problem for Ronsosaurus, as you mentioned, he is on softs, and they are not going to last long. So he needs to get himself in a good position as possible, especially if a safety car comes out, so he can chuck on the hards, go on for as long as he can, and especially if a late safety car comes out, put on another set of softs. As he goes down the inside of Genenji.
And almost some contact there. A little wiggle from Ronsosaurus. He almost
rages out.
Couldn't do it.
Rages out. That's a safety car.
So first safety car, this does help Die and the Slayer, and MDJ does not help Rage Hunter, obviously, because he is the cause of the safety car. So now Calvin, the sole Haas driver, left to score points today, and Ronsosaurus pitting for what tire? Brand new mediums.
And I'll be honest, that is a bit of a surprise. That is a surprise.
So Ronsosaurus, the only driver to start on the soft compound tire, now going to the medium tire. He'll have slightly fresher tires than those guys that he was racing with, but look at how far down he is now, P10, and MDJ going on the soft. So we're going to have to take a look at MDJ when this restart happens. He is looking to charge, and we saw that Ronsosaurus was able to catch the top 4, but he really wasn't making significant gains on them. So it's going to be very interesting to see if MDJ is going to have any better luck.
That's an interesting one. Like, wait, MDJ is on softs? Why?
Well, I know one thing. You definitely can't say Jeff did
it. Yeah, at least we have a new engineer to blame now. But yeah, less than ideal for MGJ. I think there is a very high possibility that he is going to have to come back in just to put on a fresh set.
So MDJ trying to catch the safety car queue. Hoping that the coming lap will be the final lap under safety car, but we'll have to wait and see.
Definitely. He's very wide.
We really just prefer green flag racing here. Gets the race, really really interesting. But, you know, sometimes safety cars are a bit of a blessing because you can get races that are really strung out and then it really bunches the pack up. And, you know, like we were saying earlier, MDJ really did need this safety car. And he's planning on taking full advantage of it, going on the soft compound tires. I, for one, don't think that he's going to be seeing the gains that he's maybe anticipating here because Rhinoceros didn't have a lot of luck with it. However, you know perhaps better than I that it's not just about the tire compound, it's also about the driver and the setup and what works with their driving style.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Now, I'd say I'd like to go on board and take a look at train game in P8. Like, gained 7 places on the start? Hold on.
So position change, it is 7 places on the start for Train Game. Wow, our biggest mover so far. Oh, and a big slide!
Well caught by Train Game. That could have ended in disaster just like that.
So
wow.
Our defending champion having a little bit of difficulties on cold tires under the safety car. And, you know, that's a thing that I've heard from a lot of drivers is a little bit different with F1 2022, is that when you go out onto the racetrack, the tires are, they feel a lot colder. And therefore, you're really struggling for grip on your outlap because, you know, the warmer tires are really going to, you know, be able to grip that surface a lot better. So, you know, you go out there on those cold tires, you got to be very, very careful. Otherwise, you're going to be along for the ride.
Oh, absolutely. Safety car's in the slap. Now.
So PSI Legends will be the control car. We'll ride on board with just Paris, see what kind of a jump PSI Legends gets. He gets to decide when they go as long as it's before the start-finish line. Just waiting for the safety car to pull into the pits, and then we will be able to go.
Now, the question is, do you go second to last corner or just go on the line? Because either way, it's a massive risk.
And we are green down the front straightaway. Just Para, very
close.
What
a restart by
Legends.
Para. Yeah, look at that. Like, no losers struggling to keep pace as Janeji closing up.
And it's a side-by-side battle there for a brief moment between Mansell, and Mansell spins off. He spins off into the grass.
Oh no!
Some damage, but he's not out. My goodness, though, Mansell not having a good start to this season. So Janeji and P3 trying to chase down Just Para and PSI Legends, who is pretty much nose to tail. And then behind Janeji, it's Norloser and Milton who are nose to tail at the moment. Alpha Tauri and Red Bull. So pretty much Red Bull and Red Bull Jr. racing together here.
Wow. I think, again, as I mentioned, as I touched on earlier, I think it's the Norloser is clearly struggling on something. If it's like if it was on a low downforce setup or something, or high speed setup. Either way, it's just he's struggling to keep up with that leading three.
And it looks like, yeah, and it really looks like he's holding up Milton, who might potentially be faster than that Alpha Tauri. But there you saw Norloser actually get a little bit better of an exit out of that corner. So maybe he's figuring it out. There was a big wiggle there from Milton. Let's see what Norloser is able to do down this straightaway, though. Because, you know, you're theorizing that maybe Norloser has got a better straight line setup than he does through the corners. But he didn't really make a lot of significant gains down the straightaway as well.
I know. I mean, that was a poor end of turn one for Matty because he's lost what, two or three attempts to Milton ahead, but
and it's side by side with Rhinoceros.
Oh, look at that!
KXI.
Wow, good stuff from Rhinoceros to get up into P7.
Oh,
contact
into MDJ.
I know. So that's cost MDJ 2 places.
So riding on board with MDJ now, he's been trying to make his way through the field, but we're seeing these soft tires really not have the benefit that he anticipated. So he is stuck still in P10, and like you said, he did just lose 2 places because of that contact, so he's going to be looking to get back by these drivers as quick as possible. Train Game Wow trying to size up KXI for a move, but MDJ, he could have had a run on Train Game Wow, but he misjudged just a little bit. Now the Slayer is out. Is that going to be a safety car? I think it is. Yes, it is a safety car. So our second safety car of the race. And let's see how this shakes up each other.
That's going to be huge. Now, top 7 have all got to come in. Brontosaurus stays out. Oh yeah, he is on fresh and mediums to be fair, but MDJ does come in. I think it's definitely the right call, in my opinion, because there's no way the softs are going to last for much longer than three additional laps. Put it that way.
MDJ goes on the hards, just like everybody else who pit that time. So 2 drivers left on the mediums, Genji and Brontosaurus. Oh, and MDJ, a big wiggle out of the pits there.
Wow. Man's already way back because of that spin, but this should bring him back into this race for sure.
Yeah, and Mansell really needing a good race here. You know, it was not a good race at Saudi Arabia and not looking all that great today, but it's lap 9 of 29, so we're not even halfway through. Mansell has got plenty of time to get back through this field. He's got a long way to go and a tall ladder to climb, but if he can just find the pace that he needs, he should be able to at least get in the points, and that could be a very solid day for him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the driver that's in my opinion, who's in the strongest position, would have to be Pera. He is on fresh hards. Fresh hards. He's ahead of everyone behind him. I think. Although it does depend on when Train Game pits, I think if he can keep it clean, consistent, and slowly make his way up the field a bit by bit, then he has a very good chance of winning this race.
Yeah, and you know, you got to remember Train Game Wow, he was disqualified from the qualifying session because he quote-unquote blocked the pit lane, which, you know, is a technicality. What likely happened was that he spun and just couldn't get rolling quick enough, but because we don't have live stewarding, which would not logistically be possible, sadly, we do have to rely on an algorithm, and sometimes that algorithm makes mistakes. But Train Game Wow overcoming adversity quite well today in P4 there in that McLaren as we take a look at him now. And, you know, very good point that you bring up that he could be a bit of a dark horse. You know, when you think about a driver starting P15, you don't think that that driver is going to be a threat to win this race. But lap 10 of 29, and he's already in P4. Now, we've had 2 safety cars to help him out, and a couple of drivers having abysmal days already. But still, like you said, a strong position for our defending GP2 champion.
Absolutely, mate. Now, question is, when do you think that safety car's going to come in? Oh no, that's disastrous. The loser has a 5-second penalty. Oh no! What has happened there?
I don't know what has happened.
Oh, safety car in this lap. I will be right back. Just gotta go.
So, Just Pera's got some damage. Loser is likely got some damage as well. Safety car will be coming in this lap, and now a lot of drivers getting 5-second time penalties for ignoring yellow flags. Now, we will say those likely will be removed by the stewards. We were talking about that algorithm problem earlier. Well, that's what we're having to deal with here. So, some, if not all, of those penalties will be removed at the end of this race. So, as per usual, the race result at the end will be unofficial until the stewards have a look at that. But we are about to go back racing. Lap 10 of 29, Janeji and Brontosaurus take it green, and Janeji gets a fantastic start over Brontosaurus. Older tires on that Aston Martin than you see on the McLaren, and then behind them they've got hard tire runners, so you might see these medium tire guys really pull away early on, but those hard tires are going to come into play very, very soon. They are getting close to their optimal tire window. And good to hear that Tom is back with us. We are just green now. Still not sure exactly what happened, but we know that Just Para has pitted for the soft compound tires. So you got a better look at it, Tom, than I did. So, tell us what you saw.
Well, basically, it's a long story. I was on board with Para, and obviously, obviously Norloser had that 5-second penalty for a collision with Matty, and then out of nowhere, I don't think it was intentional. I think it might be a problem with the game itself, but Matty went just literally cleaned out Para. Like, it just... Yeah, I'm not going to comment much more on that. I'm not going to comment on that. It just got out of hand.
So possible controversial matters under the safety car. We did miss that on the stream, unfortunately. Tom did see it, though. So back to the race, though. Trent Game Wow running in P4. We would talk about him being in a strong position, but so far no improvement on the restart. Trying to chase down the Red Bull of KXI just ahead of him, but not really a lot of luck. And I'm almost wondering if maybe we're stuck in a bit of an aerodynamic bubble at the moment. We are still waiting for the DRS to be reactivated, but in the meantime, you're seeing these drivers sort of, spread out a bit. So already Janeji 1.3 seconds over Rhinosaurus, and KXI in jeopardy of losing that DRS range to Rhinosaurus as well. But let's go back and take a look at MDJ, because he is slowly possibly going to be making some gains here as you see him closing in on PSI Legends.
Yeah, he is. Merely biding his time.
And
PSI went a bit wide. Norloser gets past I.
And coming into this race, remember that MDJ is the points leader, tied with last week's winner.
Norloser nearly lost it battling with Die.
So MDJ's teammate of Norloser having a bit of difficulties up front, or in P6 rather, as Die just ahead of him is nose to tail with his teammate of Maddie down the front straightaway, and Die actually swerving a little bit. Not sure what's going on. Are the teammates racing each other? I'd say the best thing to do at the moment would be to work together, then race each other later.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue against that. I think...
So Calvin losing the DRS range to Train Game Wow. Train Game Wow, though, really closing in on KXI. KXI a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings now. So let's see if Train Game Wow will be able to take advantage of KXI's mistake. Is Just Para fastest lap on 120.5 on the soft compound tires down there in P12. He needs to finish in at least 10th to get that bonus point.
Absolutely. Now, how does Train Game approach the Sector 2? Yep, the end of Sector 2, yep. Brilliant from turns 11. He's got the DRS, but he's not using his battery bow. So clearly, Train Game is biding his time for a turn 1 overtake. Especially down at the start-finish straight.
Yeah, and that's another thing that we really don't get the opportunity to talk about as much as maybe we should, is just how crucial battery management comes into these races. So for those of you who are not familiar, you can pretty much deploy your ERS and you can get a little bit more speed. Your battery's going to be using a lot more power, giving your car more speed down the straightaway, to put it in layman's terms. So Train Game Wow, like you said, Tom, perhaps trying to conserve that battery level a little bit and maybe size KXI up for a move later on.
Yeah, absolutely. KXI just went very wide there. I was on board with Train Game. Para gets the fastest lap.
And Just Para, he's really been clocking him off, so let's take a look at him here. The problem is, though, you see that big 20 next to his name. He's 20 seconds behind Mansell in P11, so he's going to need a safety car to have a chance to finish in the top 10 here. But all the same, Just Para showing that he at least can be fast today, and with a safety car and the right strategy, can take advantage of that potential bonus point.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, PSI's out.
And speaking of the devil, that might be our safety car. And it is.
It
so just Para getting a lucky break here.
And a lifeline too. Now, what would you do, in your opinion, if you were train game? Oh, yeah. If you... Jineji pits, Rhodosaurus doesn't. Okay, that is interesting.
The question is, what tires do these drivers have available? That is really the question. And train game, wow, going to the mediums. KXI going to the mediums. Wow. Some drivers going to the softs, though. Jineji trying soft tires. Let's see what Just Para does. Now, Just Para, he's already used his soft tires here. So, you know, will he go to the mediums, the hards? Let's see what he's going to do. Just Para, he's made a couple of stops down pit road, so not sure what he has available.
Now, Para goes in. Odds.
2-lap-old hard tires for Just Para.
Yeah, I think he might be having to go for what's left.
Looking like
and honestly, oh, what's happening with Milton?
He's pit, but let's see what tires he's going on. The medium compound tires, it looks like. So Milton going on 8-lap-old medium. So that's another driver that, you know, really has used up all of his tires allotted for the race, and he's just using all the scraps that he has left.
Oh, definitely.
So Just Para, you know, 2 laps on those hard tires, that's really not bad at all. You know, he'll be able to get them up to temperature under, you know, these laps trying to catch the safety car queue, and he should be okay. So if he's got the pace compared to the guys ahead of him, then he'll be able to make up some ground and, you know, maybe get that bonus point for the fastest lap. Milton, he's on 8-lap-old mediums. He's in a little bit of a trickier situation. He still should be decent, but, you know, that's obviously not an ideal situation. But as we've seen, when we have these late race safety cars, you know, these drivers are allowed a new set of softs, mediums, and hards. So once they use them, like you said, Tom, they're just there picking up the scraps. But the most interesting strategy choice, I think, is Jineji on these soft tires. We have about 14 laps of this race left. Jineji obviously feels like he can make the soft tires last that long, but never mind that. We have seen twice now in this race that the soft tires do not give you a significant benefit. Rhodosaurus tried it, didn't work. MDJ tried it, made some gains, but really didn't work. Jineji, he's our third driver to really try this strategy. Is it going to be able to work? But another question, though, is regardless of whether or not he will be able to improve his position a lot, will he be able to challenge Just Para for that fastest lap?
I'm not sure. Like it obviously depends on how it's ultimately tire dependent, like, well, tire wear dependent, because I think if you look after your tires well enough, and if you are consistent with your lines, then you are within a chance. But if you end up overdoing it and start overdriving that car, then that chance for fastest lap would be gone.
So Jineji, like we said, P7, we'll see where he ends up. Now, Rhodosaurus, he is still leading this race, 11-lap-old medium tires, so we'll see what he's going to be able to do. Just Calvin, 11-lap-old hard tires. Norloser there in P3. Now, here is an update on the time penalty situation, but you do have to remember that Norlosers may get removed. I'm not sure how many of that is for ignoring yellow flags or contact under the safety car that the stewards could look at and deem inappropriate. Now, if it's speeding in pit lane, it will not be removed. Now, the 3 seconds to KXI and die, those time penalties will not be removed.
No. How is Rhodosaurus going to approach this? Like, really got the whole field bunched up. I mean, Calvin could be in a good position to strike.
Oh, Rhodosaurus gets a pretty decent start, though, down the straightaway. Really pulling him, and now side-by-side, Norloser fighting Calvin for that second spot. Does Norloser get the job done into one?
He does.
Yes, he does. He clears him, but
he goes very wide!
Into the grass, and now Calvin, will he be able to get back to him? No, he won't, not this time. MDJ
and now MDJ's into second place.
So Calvin has got
it's
back
all
by
kicking
Norloser.
off. Oh, Calvin gets to go wide. Oh no, no loser spins!
MDJ in second, Matty now up to third, Janeji in third, as Matty has spun,
Matty
Calvin
spun
in
again.
P4, so Janeji in P3, Calvin P4, Matty spun, Calvin is trying to catch Janeji. Rhinosaurus is leading this race by 2 seconds over MDJ, but you just saw how quick MDJ is. This safety car is really benefited him.
Massive crash for Die! Big accident! Lost control. I don't know if anyone anyone else influenced that, but I lost it on the straight. Lost it before turns 11 and 12, and that's a big shame.
And here comes Janeji, though, Tom, on the outside of MDJ. He was trying to make the move, couldn't do it. Oh, and MDJ goes wide, and he spins. He hangs onto it, but loses multiple positions.
Ooh, and Train Game tried to go for a move on Pera, but didn't pay off at all.
So Calvin ahead of KXI and MDJ now, who's dropped down to 5th after that half spin. A good save from the AlphaTauri driver. So Calvin looking good for a podium at the moment. KXI trying to defend against MDJ, who is definitely faster than this Red Bull, because you have seen just how quick MDJ can make overtakes and zip through the field. But he has got to be very careful on the exit of these corners, because he cannot afford another mistake like that. Meanwhile, though, Janeji on those soft tires, he has caught Rhinosaurus, and he is going to be very close to overtaking him. He's looking underneath him. It's side by side. Is there going to be some contact? Maybe a touch, but Janeji gets on by the McLaren. Does he clear him, though? Yes, he does.
No. Oh, yeah, he does.
Though. Rhinosaurus is there. Still a side-by-side battle. Rhinosaurus on the inside, Janeji on the outside. Rhinosaurus clears Janeji, but will Janeji do a crossover move? Not that time. Janeji has to follow the McLaren through.
Oh, he's got the run. Oh, contact on the rear. It scares me going into turns 11 and 12 when there's contact.
Janeji not able to look for an overtake this time, but if he can get a good exit out of these next couple of corners, then he can really set Rhinosaurus up for a move down the straightaway. We were talking about how these soft tires aren't really advantageous. Well, throw that out the window. Janeji does not care. He is making them work, like it or not, and he's got the DRS. He might have a run. Rhinosaurus using everything that he can to stay ahead of this Aston Martin, and that's actually a good point there. But DRS is just now enabled, so hey, guess what? Commentator making a mistake. Janeji not able to use the DRS that time. Almost had a run on Rhinosaurus going into this next set of corners, but not able to do it.
Dalton spins out. Look at this. Janeji goes out the inside.
Side by side, it's going to be a drag race briefly, but Rhinosaurus wins out on that little battle. Janeji doing a crossover move now. Here's your drag race. The Aston Martin going to be on the inside in this next corner, but Rhinosaurus really using the moment on the outside to capitalize on Janeji being stuck on that inside, but Janeji doesn't care, and he moves his way into the lead, and Rhinosaurus making the same pass that he did last time on the inside of Janeji. It's a side-by-side drag race down the new section of Albert Park. Rhinosaurus on the inside and Janeji on the outside. Now Janeji on the inside. He clears Rhinosaurus.
Rhinosaurus had to back out of that because there was no way two cars could go wheel to wheel, side by side.
Calvin's here, and so is KXI. Calvin and KXI side by side. That's for the third position. KXI trying to get by Rhinosaurus for P2, but now look at MDJ going by Calvin for P4. So we have got an entire gaggle of cars fighting for these final podium spots as Janeji is sailing off into the sunset on those fresh, soft tires. The biggest beneficiary thus far from that late race safety car. Lap 20 of 29, and you would think that it's the last lap the way these guys are racing. A little bit of calm before the storm, perhaps now though.
Absolutely, but then again, we are on the DRS. Look at this. Perez trying to go around the outside of Calvin. Kill control. Oh no!
Spins into him, and then Calvin spins off into the grass.
Oh no! Now, did Train Game get damage out of that?
Did Parrot get damage out of that as well?
I think he might have, you know. A disaster for Calvin and for Haas.
The in plate is still on Parrot's front wing. Of course, that doesn't mean that there is no damage on that front wing. We'll have to wait and see. MDJ, he's got some time penalty. So here's your update on the time penalty situation. 8 seconds for Janeji, and then 8 seconds for KXI, then 3 for MDJ, and 9 for Jaspera.
Oh, Mantle's off. Oh, no. Big accident. Surprisingly, Mantle is not out of the race yet, but his wing is completely gone.
And here is a safety car.
Wow. That's a plot twist. That is a plot twist.
So KXI had just got by Rhinosaurus for the second place when that safety car came out. Now Rhinosaurus dives down into the pits. And Janeji has dove down into the pits as well. So Janeji, had it stayed green, could maybe, big maybe, have won this race. Let's see what Janeji's going to be able to do here as Rhinosaurus. Rhinosaurus went onto the soft tires.
I know, but the question is, I think Rhinosaurus could be in the strongest position to win this race. But, Janeji's on hards.
Rhinosaurus and Maddie on fresh soft tires, as is Norloser. Janeji going on fresh hard tires. KXI, now your leader. MDJ in second. Just Para in third. Train Game Wow, Rhinosaurus. The remainder of the top 5. This is looking like a 5-ish lap shootout to the finish when we go back green. This is going to be interesting.
Now, I think the driver that's in the strongest position to win this race is Rhinosaurus. Like, he is on fresh softs, no penalties, and I think fresh softs, no penalties. He does have train game ahead of him, but at the same time, anything can happen at the end of the race. But Roden, for now, looks potentially in a very strong position.
So we did see Janeji make significant gains on those soft tires that last restart, but Rhinosaurus was one of the drivers that tried it earlier, and it didn't work for him. Now, it stands to reason that as the races went on, the track has gotten a little bit more rubber to it, so the drivers are going to be able to find some more grip. So maybe that's really the changing factor here, is now that it's later in the race, these soft tires are just able to, react better. But only time's going to tell what's going to happen with Rhinosaurus. Look at that, Train Game well spun under the safety car.
Yeah, oh no! Big disaster for Train Game.
Well, Rhinosaurus gains a spot, but perhaps not the way that he had hoped. P4 now for Rhinosaurus. But at the sacrifice of his teammate, Train Game Wow. Now, Train Game Wow, he's on 7-lap-old medium tires that he's going to be taking to the finish here. He was going to be restarting in P3. Now it's going to be P7 for him. When you spin out under the caution, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to get your spot back. It's painful, but it's what Train Game Wow has to deal with, and I believe, if I remember correctly, he had a little bit of a moment under safety car earlier on during this race. So, that's another thing, is apparently some of these drivers having issues with the safety car, and could that be because of cold tires, Tom?
Good question. Yeah, it might be. And again, because of these cars, I think handling-wise, these cars are fine, but when it comes to corner exits and slow corners, especially on no traction control, like, it's so easy, randomly easy to lose the back end of that car, and if you're not careful, you could end up being in a load of trouble.
So the safety car is coming in this lap. KXI going to be the control car, gets to decide when we restart, as long as it's before the start-finish line. Safety car, as it pulls into the pits, we wait and see when KXI is going to decide to go. Riding on board with him, DJ, to see what kind of a start KXI gets. Does he go early? Does he go late? And the bigger question is, does he get the better start? Lap 22 of 29, perhaps the safety cars are over, and we are back green to finish the Australian Grand Prix. KXI, a fantastic start off the line.
You're welcome. Oh yeah, great start by KXI. But the question is, will Pera have enough to keep hold of that pack behind?
Pera was putting a lot of pressure on MDJ
Calvin,
going
3
into turn
seconds.
number 1. Lost a lot, though, out of turn 1. Rhinosaurus on those soft tires. Let's ride on board with him as he is gaining on just Pera. Now, DRS is not active yet, so Rhinosaurus, he's going to have to wait for the big beneficiary, but these soft tires are going to pay dividends for him early on, potentially. It didn't work for him earlier, but maybe it'll work for him now. And you did see that he has been able to knock the gap down a little bit on Just Para, but not a lot. Of course, Just Para perhaps using some battery to try to chase down MDJ for that second spot.
Yeah.
This is the best thing that could happen, though, for KXIs to have these three cars fighting nose to tail, because it's going to allow that Red Bull to pull away a little bit. But MDJ closing in on KXI.
If you looking at how quick.
Oh, and KXI spins! So now MDJ the leader, Just Para P2, Rhinosaurus into P3.
Oh, wow. Trying to get him up into P6. He might be on for a podium if he can get past, he can just get, if he can just get past Milton, he could be on for a podium. You can't rule out anyone, but at the same time, this last couple of laps are going to be hard. So hard to predict.
So Rhinosaurus and Just Para fighting for that second position. MDJ with that clean air really pulling away. Rhinosaurus on those soft tires. He's able to attack the corners a lot more than Just Para, but I almost think that that's to his detriment, because it's sacrificing a little bit of speed on corner exit, which you have seen is so very crucial around a lot of the racing circuits that Formula One visits.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the question is,
and Rhinosaurus not using any bit of ERS that time. Is, you know, the little hint that we can get is looking at their steering wheel, of course. So Rhinosaurus did not have it deployed that time. He's really saving it, trying to size Just Para up. But it's looking like maybe a win is a little bit optimistic for this McLaren driver, but we still got plenty of time left to go. But I'm anticipating these soft tires to wear down a little bit quicker than what he would hope. And, you know, look at Matty back there not making a lot of gains either. So Rhinosaurus is really driving his heart out just to get the results that he is. And he is right on the back of this Alpine, but no DRS this time. But it is active this lap, and he does make the move into one. He gets the job done. Just Para going to try to go back on the inside line. Can't get the job done. Rhinosaurus pulls away. And does he have any DRS to aid him? No, he does not that time. He was, of course, within the detection zone, but that was before DRS was active.
Oh, no! Janeji and Norluz are making contact.
Janeji in P8, Mansell P9, Norloser P10. All these three cars in a line, nose to tail.
All very close.
Mansell trying to get close to Janeji here. Let's see what he's able to do. A couple of different lines through this new sector. Mansell has got a run on him. He's going to be able to get the job done
side by
on the
side.
inside of Janeji.
Brilliant stuff by Mansell. Janeji can have a go back. No, he's not.
Mansell really showing some good form here. Looking for a good point stay, as now Norloser making the move on Janeji on the outside, gets into P9.
That was a good move from Norloser, but
now here's the battle for the lead. Rhinosaurus and MDJ, these soft tires, they have worked for Rhinosaurus this time, and he has caught MDJ. He's within 0.4 of a second. He is within striking distance. He is literally right there.
KXI is gone.
And
it's another safety car. What? Now the question is, if you were on softs, would you stay out?
Yes. No question about it. You have to stay out. There's no scenario in which I do not stay out. You're committed at this point. It doesn't matter what strategy you went for. You are committed. This is a late race safety car that I don't recall ever seeing in SFR. So not sure when we're going to be going back green. We thought that the safety cars were over, but it's not. And we only have 10 drivers remaining. So that means everyone that finishes now, they're going to get points.
I know. Now, I mean, it's one of those. It's such a difficult one, isn't it? Like you know, you're gonna be guaranteed points either way, but it's a strange dilemma for the drivers, because you know you're gonna pick up points, but at the same time, is it really worth going for that extra position when you could just bring the car home?
I guess it really just depends on what your point situation is. You know, I mean, because later on in the season, you see a lot of drivers making a little bit more gutsy moves because they know that time's running out to really build on that. But if you have that attitude throughout the whole season, yeah, you might put yourself into controversial situations and bad situations to where you're having a bad race.
Oh, Janetti and Nornus are making contact.
Oh, no. So already more contact under the safety car. So it's lap 27 of 29, and again, not sure when this safety car is going to be pulling in. We anticipate very soon to give us some green flag racing to the end. This is probably the worst thing that could have happened for Rontosaurus, who is very, very close to passing MDJ before the safety car came out. And you know, I am wondering, you know, what is the limit now for F1 2022 for the safety car to come out? Because originally I thought that it was about 3 laps or so from the finish, which I thought we were.
That is a good question. But who would you say, in your opinion, is the strongest position to race? I mean, it's a bit of an obvious one.
It depends solely on this restart. If MDJ gets a good restart, he can use that clean air to his advantage, maybe hold off Rontosaurus. If he does not get a good restart, and the safety car is in this lap, so we're about to find out, if he does not hold off Rontosaurus, and Rontosaurus is able to stick with him, then I really do think we're going to see that McLaren on the top spot of that podium.
Definitely agree on that one, mate. Now,
so riding on
over MDJ. Sorry.
Right, Tim. I didn't mean with Rontosaurus. MDJ going to be the control car. Gets to decide when we restart this race. Rontosaurus going to try to get a victory here. He's got to stick close to that AlphaTauri. This has got to be nerve-wracking for Rontosaurus.
Oh, definitely. MDJ's gone. Look at that. Brilliant restart.
MDJ already 0.6 of a second ahead of Rontosaurus, and Milton already out. So something has happened to the Red Bull of Milton. Now remember, Rontosaurus, he's not going to have DRS to aid him here, so it's going to have to be raw pace to get by MDJ. He's got fresher tires, but they're soft tires. 7 laps on the soft compound tires, 19 laps on the hard compound for MDJ. And MDJ pulling away almost a second ahead of Rontosaurus, and I think that the McLaren might have lost out on his chance at victory, but the race is not over yet. Lap 28 of 29. We're coming to the final lap next time around. Rontosaurus has got to put in 2 solid qualifying laps to have a shot at this AlphaTauri.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now,
just Para,
look at this.
He is gaining a lot on Rontosaurus. So one thing that I'm noticing with these restarts is it seems as though the soft tires, for whatever reason, are not good at the start. You know, early on in the race and also on restarts, it seems as though the drivers struggle. But after you get a lap or 2 under your belt on the soft tires, you seem to gain a little bit. However, unfortunately, Rontosaurus does not have a lap or 2. In fact, to be precise, he has just over 1 lap, and he is over a second back. So it's going to have to be an enormous gain for Rontosaurus to catch MDJ, and it's looking like it's not going to happen, but it's the final lap. It's not over until it's over, and Calvin perhaps ducking out of line to try to pass Matty. Not able to do it into turn number 1. He stays in P5 for now. We'll keep with the battle for second between Rontosaurus and Just Para, and it's got to be a shame for this driver in the McLaren, knowing he was so close to victory before that late race safety car, driving his heart out, not able to do anything. He can make small gains.
Just to correct you, MDJ does have a 3-second penalty.
That is actually correct, Tom. You are correct. So Rontosaurus, he doesn't have to pass him on track. There's so many time penalties, it's hard to keep track of who's which, but here are your update. 3 seconds for MDJ, 9 seconds for Just Para. One of those could possibly be a 5 seconds. We had a lot of issues with the time penalties awarded under the safety car.
Oh, Matty's gone! Nearly gone, but that was disaster. Oh, no. Disaster for Matty.
Just Para and Rontosaurus side by side, a little bit of contact. This is for second place. Not sure how the penalties stand for Just Para and the steward's view on it. But 3 seconds for MDJ, and Just Para gets into Rontosaurus.
Oh, no.
So Rontosaurus will not be walking away with this win. MDJ loses 3 seconds. So
Train Game on the podium.
Train Game Wow gets into second. Mansell into P3.
Wow.
Mansell gets a podium. The question is, though,
wow,
MDJ officially should be your winner. Where will Just Para finish? He's in P7 at the moment. Where will he finish if he is awarded a penalty for that contact? We saw it happen last week with Calvin and Just Para. Will we see it happen this week with Just Para and Rhinosaurus? Unfortunate for Rhinosaurus, though, a P6 finish, but MDJ overcoming that time penalty to win the race.
Wow. It could all very much kick off in the GP2 chat on the race. I can imagine that now. But, well defended. I think you'd have to feel for Rhinosaurus, but you can't fault MDJ for doing what he had to do. Kept it on track despite the penalty. He's shown his pace throughout the race, and he was definitely one of the nominees for the win, in my opinion.
Very solid race all around. Your official, unofficial, however you want to look at it, unofficial finishing results for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Australian Grand Prix. MDJ in first, Train Game Wow in second, Mansell with a podium in third, Calvin Racing in fourth, fifth is Rhinosaurus, sixth is Janeji Just Para in seventh, eighth is Maddie Norloser in ninth, 10th is Milton KXI in 11th, 12th is Die, PSI Legends in 13th, 14th, The Slayer, Rage Hunter in the 15th position. We'll talk to our top three finishers if they want to interview MDJ, Train Game Wow, and Mansell. But that was a crazy finish to a safety car plagued race.
Absolutely. I'm lost for words. So much happened. And I mean, so much actually happened. It just all got out of hand. Simple as that. But what a race it was. I mean, fair play to Train Game and Mansell for both keeping it on the track and, even better, penalty free.
And that almost got them a win, but of course, MDJ, that 3 seconds worth of time penalties did come back to bite him, but not enough because he's still credited with that win. However, without that contact in the last corner, it likely would have been a Rhinosaurus victory, so that one's got to be a tough pill to swallow for the McLaren driver. We do have Mansell in here with us, just waiting on Train Game Wow and MDJ as well. Speaking of the devil, there's Train Game Wow, your defending GP2 champion, just waiting on MDJ, and then we will be able to start our interviews. And hopefully MDJ will be able to join us because I do want to talk with him because he had such an up and down race. It's got to be very interesting to see what he's been able to do. So, not sure if MDJ is going to join us, so we'll go ahead and start the interviews. So, guys, please, before we start, make sure you've allowed your voice to be shared. If you don't know how to do that, go over to the party settings, click Always Allow, and let me know when you're ready.
Ready.
All right, so Train Game P2 after a terrible qualifying, of course, an unfortunate disqualification from the qualifying session. Saw you get into P4 early on, I believe by lap 10, thanks to, in part, the safety cars. And then you rebound to a second place finish. Tell us about your race.
Oh, it's a long story. Before the race, I really wasn't confident at all. Because when I was trying setups in time trial, and you try them in Grand Prix mode or multiplayer, they just didn't work. So I picked it to my very old setup. I just put it in for just in case I have a setup, and that was working quite okay. Wouldn't say fantastic. And the qualifying, I spun on the last corner, and I tried to. Well, I was on the sideline and I wanted to let everyone by, but the game saw it as a blocking in the pit lane, but it wasn't really that case if you ask me. Then I decided to start on the hard to get the hardest tire out of the way, and that was going quite okay with the carnage around left inside me, so I went up to fourth, I think, behind KHG. And then on lap 15, I think, was the safety car when I pitted for the mediums. And I was looking at the penalties, and I thought I could really win this. And I just made a stupid mistake by having a little too much throttle on the final corner, and which spun me around, which I'm pretty sure cost me the win today. But I was able to fight back to I think it was fifth on the finish line, but second I shouldn't complain, but I'm slightly disappointed.
And that is understandable, but still a solid effort from you, especially after having to start.
Shades of Valet right there too.
Huh?
Shades of Valet right there too.
Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome.
So congratulations, Train Game, on your second place finish. So Mansell, P3 for you, and I bet that you did not expect to be talking to me today, but congratulations on your P3 finish. I don't even know how you got up there, but you were running in the points for most of the day, so you had a solid run. Were you really confident with Albert Park today?
No. I just had no confidence whatsoever the whole time. Very surprised I'm on the podium. I think it's just my consistency of not getting penalties. I don't even think I've got a penalty yet this season. Well, track limits, of course, which has, of course, helped. But yeah, I had no pace today whatsoever. I just know I was the slowest one out there. I was the final lap. I was in last place, and I somehow finished P3 just because without penalties and everyone else getting penalties. So that is one positive. That yeah, I just can't get penalties. But yeah, surprise P3. Dineji, if you're watching as well, sorry for that turn 2 incident where I pushed you wide. I decided to steer. But yeah, overall, it was a 7 out of 10 race for me today.
Well, nonetheless, congratulations on your third place finish, Mansell. It was entertaining to watch. And with that, that is all the time that we have. But thank you all so much for watching. Congratulations to our podium finishers, and thank you to all the drivers that race with us. And until next time, good morning, good evening, good day, good night, wherever you are in the world. Have fun, and goodbye.